You ready? Okay. You want me to wait? Go ahead. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending the Rapid City Area Schools Board of Education regular meeting. Thank those of you that are here, those of you that are watching live, and those that will watch later. We will take a roll call.
Jamie Clapham. Here. Christine Stephenson. Here. Donna Moore. Here. Michael Berkland.
Here.
Walt Schwan is absent with notice, and Katie Urban. Here. Oh, and Mr. Carr, I'm sorry, forgot. I went right down the list without you, didn't I? Apology.
I'm here.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we'll have our invocation.
Pastor Randy Phipps from Midtown Church, citizen of Rapid City, and I'm a product of Rapid City Public School System. And it's a good system we have. I was thinking this is first day of school, you know, and it's not like anybody took a break. Maybe the kids got a break, but you can see that you folks have been busy. So thank you for serving our community, serving our families, and serving our kids. And I was reminded that I believe it was 1876 when the first schoolhouse was built in Rapid City. And since that time, you guys are in a long line of people that have been entrusted with responsibility. And I want to pray a blessing over you, over this new school year. And Lord, thank you that we need help. We're not going to do this by ourselves. It would fail miserably, but with your help, all things are possible. Thank you for giving this board incredible wisdom, encouragement, Lord God, that the decisions they make, they're not their will being done, but it is in the best interest of this community of children of Rapid City and the educational benefit that comes from public education. Thank you for the time that they have spent. Thank you for the time that they will spend, Lord God. Thank you for the cooperation of everybody involved, that ultimately, Lord God, our hope is in you and that you would inspire and bring about your will being done. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I'll invite everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, at this time, I will entertain a motion to approve the proposed agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries. This time, we're going to be sharing the success, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Strasser. Or Mr. Sassy.
Thank you, President Carr. I know this is shocking. Usually I'm delivering bad news, so I'm really happy to be here or be able to stand in front of everyone tonight and give some good news. So today we had the pleasure of opening the doors of the new South Middle School. I'd say that's worth a sharing of a success. $67 million, 134,780 capacity. Where's Jade, my fact checker? Gosh, I knew I was going to get that wrong. 850, functional capacity middle school. Absolutely beautiful facility. Really amazing to get to be a small part of that. This was such a complex project, literally from the time that we received word that ESSER funds could be used for this project, and then the just incredible hustle that so many people involved in this project showed as we moved into that project and trying to get it done in the very short, intense time period that we had. And there's so many people involved, like we talked about this morning at the opening. It's so difficult to try to remember everyone and encapsulate all that. I know that everyone that was involved couldn't be prouder of how that turned out. So first of all, again, we'd just like to say to present and past boards, to present and past members of the district, thank you so much for all the hard work and effort you put into that project. It absolutely would not have been possible without all those people. However, want to say a few thank yous in particular. First of all, to MOA Architecture and that team who serve as the architectural and the project management firm, Mr. Ross Eddy, Mr. Brandon Daigle, and Mr. Rich Quinn, who was their local representation. I don't believe any of those folks could join us tonight. Ross was here for the opening today, but unfortunately had a previous engagement he had to get back to Denver for. But what a great team of individuals, flexible, kept us on track, kept us moving forward, dealt with our emotional breakdowns at times of this very intense project. So special thank you to those folks. To Skoll Construction, Mr. Andy Skoll is here with us tonight. I'm going to invite him up in just a moment. What an incredible team of people. I made the comment this morning. I don't think that we could have possibly put them in a more difficult position to execute this project. A really complex and difficult build, a very short and aggressive timeline to do it in, and that team delivered. So again, we'll have Andy up in just a moment. Mr. John Neesner, VP of Operations, Don Carlson, who is the superintendent, Dustin Schilling, project manager, Mike Oberle, just an incredible team of people to work with and really delivered on this project, even with all the challenges they face. Mr. Skoll, you want to come up and make a few comments, please?
Thank you, Coy. My name's Andy Skoll, President of Skoll Construction. Pleasure to be here tonight. Construction is a team sport. We talk about that a lot. It takes a village to make big things happen every day. And it's a pleasure. One of the pleasures of my life is to be able to help transform our communities, transform children and their lives through education. We built a number of schools over the years. And when I was there today at the ribbon cutting, you're looking at the future, right? There's some hard things in the world today. There was hard things yesterday, and there was hard things a generation ago. And life can be challenging, but education is the pathway to the future. I'm looking at future plumbers and carpenters, nurses, electricians, engineers, architects, doctors. Those children will be the face of our community in the future, and that gives myself and our team great pleasure. Like I said, construction is a team sport. Coy and I have been through a few of these together in different environments in Western South Dakota, but most importantly, I want to thank my team. I get to stand here today and say thank you for your support, but I can't do without the likes of people like Don Carlson, John Eisner, and Arlie Sandine, and Mike Oberly, Dustin Schilling, and the ranks go on and on and on. These are gentlemen that dedicate their time to their craft, helping great things happen. And, we did this in a pretty volatile time. And two things are really true beyond the teamwork of construction. You got to get them started and you got to get them done. Yeah. Right. And that's what we do. So thank you. It's been a pleasure. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Thank you. Board members, any questions for either gentleman?
I'm not done quite yet.
Oh, okay.
It's a longer list, but
okay.
Any questions for Mr. Skoll?
Mrs. Skoll, any questions? Okay, no. All right. Thank you.
I have to give a special shout out to Principals Schmidt and Principal Deming. Just an integral part of this project, especially managing the really complex logistics of having school outside the walls and all those different things. And they were so involved and as I said this morning, thank them for their passion and their commitment to their students and their staff. And they were just so great throughout this project, rolled with every punch. We're always positive and really want to thank them. Lastly, to Mr. Jade Clement. So I said this morning, and I will say it again with 100% sincerity that if not for Jade, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation. Jade came into this came into this district, and we immediately threw a $70 million construction project in his lap, and he picked it up and ran with it and just did a phenomenal job. So Jade, would you like to come up and make any comments, sir? Okay, fair enough. That's fair. He's a man of few words, which is totally fine. Also, Jade's right hand, Kathy Laurenti, extremely involved, keeping us on track, keeping us moving forward. And I want to say thank you to Kathy as well. But thank you, Jade. Great job.
Thank you.
True leadership throughout that project. I think that's it, sir. Oh, lastly, one more shout out. Can't forget to thank Bobby and Kathy and all the school personnel who arranged the grand opening today. It went amazing. It was a great way to ring in the year, and thank you very much for setting that up. I think that's it. Happy to answer any questions if you have any.
All right, board members, before we take questions, I want to say on this platform that if you weren't able to go to the opener today, Bobby, can you get on mic and give them the information for the open house on Saturday?
Yes, so on Saturday at the New South Middle School, it is going to be a community open house from 9 to 11. The community is welcome to come in and view the new building.
Right, thank you. All right, Mrs. Stephenson.
Thanks, Mr. Sassy, for that. We rely on you to, share the gratitude. But I think then it's our job to thank you. I think that a few years ago, you and Dr. Simon and the board at that time saw an opportunity and seized on it, and you knew it was going to be hard work, and it must just feel terrific today to see the end of that. So congratulations and
thank you.
A lot of gratitude to you and your team. I think
thank you very much.
You made a tremendous change in this district that will impact kids for generations.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Christine. Appreciate it.
Mrs. Urban.
I just want to say thanks too. I think this is monumental, and that's what I was thinking this morning at the ribbon cutting, just like, wow, this is a big deal and people are gonna be talking about this for a long time. And I have a middle schooler at South and I was forced to drive by there, like, I'm not kidding you, at least 3 times a week this summer, just so she could see the progress. Like every little thing was a big deal that she noticed. So I think they just feel really great
Yeah.
going there, the kids, and it gives them a sense of pride. And I hope we can give every student that in the future. Thanks for all your work.
Thank you.
Mrs. Clapham.
So I second my colleagues in all of their gratitude and excitement for today, and thank you for all that hard work. My question, what is the timeline on the track and the outdoor area? Like, I probably knew this answer like 6 months ago, but
Yeah.
my brain capacity has
Yeah,
been forced that information.
agreed. Yeah, actually, me too. So I'm gonna ask Jade, who's much better qualified to speak to that. November.
Oh.
November, yeah. So obviously that piece is gonna go a little faster than the bulk of the project. So, yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Yes.
Anybody else? One of the things that I mentioned this morning, as excited as we all are,
Yeah.
I toured it today for the first time. And it's just an amazing space for learning, for creativity, for all the awesome students that are gonna come out of
Yeah.
there. But my mind can't help thinking about the 2 elementary schools, 2 blocks on
Yeah.
either side
Yeah.
of that school. And how wonderful it would be if we could have another first day of
Yeah.
excitement opening another school for those elementary students. So
Yeah.
again, just to the community that we need to do it together. So I hope we can get another school built.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yeah,
thank you.
well said, sir. Yeah, very good. Okay, thank you very much, board.
School recognition for a quick picture. Yeah, I'll take your picture. No, yeah. Yes, Bobby, you have to be in the picture. Good try. Where shall we stand? Right here?
Thank you. All right, 5B. All right, Dr. Strong.
Look at this shiny little award right here. Isn't that pretty? You guys will get to touch it and feel it and look at it here in just a second. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, this spring, the United States Department of Education announced the 2024 U.S. Department of Education for the very first time Engage Every Student Recognition Program Champions. Across the country, 13 nonprofit organizations, city municipalities, along with working with their local schools, were honored for the efforts to expand access to high-quality after-school and summer learning programs for students. Each nomination was reviewed by state-level review teams comprised of 50 state after-school networks and state educational agencies, and state finalists were recommended to the department for final review and consideration. This year's Engage Every Student Champions are leading the charge in their local communities and states to ensure that all students nationwide have the opportunity to thrive, learn, and grow through their engagement in high-quality after-school and summer learning programs, said the U.S. Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona. Every child deserves the opportunities for out-of-school time enrichment these programs provide, he stated. The 2024 Engage Every Student Summit was held on July 16th in Washington, D.C., where Dr. Lang, her team, and I had the pleasure of attending, representing our organizations to receive this award. We were one of the 13 organizations and schools to receive this award from across the nation. I'd like to introduce Dr. Lang, as she has a brief presentation she would like to share with her and her team.
Thank you, and thanks for having us here today. We won't take a lot of your time, but we wanted to just come and share a little bit about our award and also just a little bit about our organization. So my name is Pam Lang. I'm the Deputy Director of Black Hills Special Services Cooperative, and I have Kelsey Judge, who is the Rapid City Discovery Program. So our program, she's the all of our after-school programs in Rapid City. She is now the project director. And Desmond Keller, who previously was that in that role for 20 years. And now he is moving into a different role with us to help support because we've added additional after-school programs here in Rapid City. We just wanted to, first of all, say thank you to Rapid City Area Schools for allowing us to be partners within your school. I did hand out a couple handouts. I'd like to showcase the stats handout first. And really what it shows is the investment that as partners from Black Hills Special Services Cooperative, because Rapid City is one of our 12 member districts, I believe that Mr. Carr joined our board this in July. So thank you for being a part of us. You get services that other school districts across South Dakota don't. So one of the areas that we really specialize in is overseeing and managing 21st century programs. So Rapid City has asked us to partner in several. I know you would like one in every elementary school. It can't happen yet, you guys, but we were able to add Horace Mann into one of our grants this year. And then this just shows the investment that we're making within your district each year with our 21st century programs. And that is just one of the many areas that we support and partner with you guys in this. During COVID, as you guys know, things changed overnight. And so we were able to actually leverage many different pots of money to continue to provide services to your kiddos, even when they were out of school. We actually helped deliver lunches. Desmond at that time was the project manager, project director. So he helped manage a lot of these. We actually made kits and sent them home to kids so that they would have different things to do. So we were able to keep our programs going, even though we were not actually physically in school. But what was really great about that is then when school resumed, we had not really lost, but we had actually gained students. So that was one of the reasons why we were one of the 13 that were selected for this first time award from USAID. So that that did not happen with just us. It was through many, I think many of you were here at that time, but even partnering with the lunch programs and with the buildings and grounds as well to ensure that that kept going. So on the right-hand side of this is just another, some of the other areas that we have partnered with and will continue partnering with this year is we have a large USAID in, it's called Statewide Family Engagement Center. So we are also able to really engage and work with families. And so some of the stats on the right side show we were able to work with General Beto last year and we held 2 family nights. We also helped to host and promote the kindergarten screening and the kindergarten readiness. And at that event, we served over 179 families, I believe in 2 hours. Is that right? Kelsey was in charge of that. And then we had 40 plus community members who were also there. So as the families and kiddos were there, we were able to highlight that. So those are just a couple of the things that we are partnering with as we move into this next school year. We're excited to partner with Director Strong and the Title I programs on some additional family nights that we'll be supporting in the other 9, I believe, in your 9 title schools. So we're excited about that. We have a lot of things. We could stand up here all night and tell you all the great things, but we just really wanted to say, first of all, thank you. And thank you for Director Strong we know it was a lot to ask of her to come to DC with us and be out of the building during this time. And so it was great to have her along for that. And we have a really great picture. It was a great award ceremony. And actually U.S. Secretary was there to actually present us with the award. So we were honored with that. So Kelsey or Desmond, did you guys want to say anything?
I would just like to say thank you for the partnership that we've had with the district for all these years. My career has been based around this partnership, and it's just to see this fruition, see this award. and just to see where we're going next is, it just kind of blows my mind, and I'm really excited to see what the next steps are. So thank you.
All right.
All right.
I think that's all we have.
Any questions? All right, Mrs. Urban.
I don't have a question, just a comment. This is so great for students, of course, but I also think it's just really great for our communities and our parents. It's really helpful. So they have that, they can fill that gap and they're not just latchkey kids. And so thank you so much. And you're helping us build relationships with our families too. Those student engagement nights and family engagement nights are so critical. So thank you so much. It's a great pride point for our district.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I think that when Horseman they lost their after-school program, and it was 3 years, and just bringing it back. I think it was also one of those things that you don't know what you really have until you don't have it. So thank you for saying that, Katie. I appreciate it.
Well, again, thank you for all the work that you do, and we enjoy the partnership also. So
Thank you.
oh, picture time.
Oh.
So was that BMC? Okay. All right, Shirley, you didn't give me any persons wishing to any sheets. So there are none. No, my word. Okay. We have no persons wishing to address the school board, which means we have no board response to open forum. And at this time, we have the Assistant Superintendent report by Dr. Strasser.
Thank you, President Carr. Good evening, board members. Most of my report will come in the for information area when our DDL members will share our strategic plan and pillar update. But just really excited for the start of a school year and being able to get out. Our DDL members were able to get out into all the buildings so that we had presence there. That was really awesome and a lot of fun seeing kids coming into the buildings and then throughout the day as well. We know that the weather is hot. I experienced that going to the buildings, and I know that is a challenge. We are continually monitoring, checking, had conversations regarding how our facilities can keep up with as much cool air as possible coming in, and how we do that on a nightly basis. I can't really explain a lot of the technical side of how our systems work to bring in cool air. But we are very mindful of that, and I've had communication with our principals regarding how they need to work with students and staff. So really trying to handle that. I know it's going to be hot all week, and we're just continually watching and trying to make the best of the situations that we have, specifically in the facilities that don't have the strong HVAC and air conditioning. I did want to let you know, we've been talking about junior kindergarten. We do have that coming together in each of the 3 buildings that are starting that. And they're working through a process to get it established here within the first 2 weeks. So we'll have some more information. I know Director Strong, Director Roberts have been working very hard with our principals on bringing that in. So they'll have some more information for you, most likely at the next board meeting, and share how that has come together. So those are the things that I have. Again, just super excited to see kids and walk around and really fun time of the year. So unless you have questions for me right now, that's what I have.
Any questions? All right, thank you very much. Look forward to hearing more later. Mr. Sassy.
Thank you, President Carr. Like Dr. Strasser, I'm going to try to keep it very short tonight. Just wanted to mention, of course, first day of school is always interesting in getting all the kinks and hiccups worked out. I think that for the most part, it sounded like across the support service side, a very successful first day. I know there were some hiccups around some of the bus and routing issues that we had. I know there was some difficulty in pulling some of that information over from Skyward into the routing software, and there's always adjustments that have to be made. So any families who are affected by that this morning want to apologize to them for any inconvenience that caused. However, I think we have it worked out, and hopefully tomorrow we will be able to avoid any of those issues. I just want to very quickly touch on a couple things regarding South Middle School. Again, project went incredibly well. As Mr. Skoll mentioned, I've been fortunate enough to be a part of several larger construction projects. And I think that this by far has been the most difficult, complex, and being where we're at and having the kids in the building was always the goal, and we've done that, and that's a great thing. However, as Ms. Clapham pointed out, there are a couple areas that I wanted to make sure the board understood we're just slightly behind, primarily the track portion of that. So as you saw today, there's still a lot of dirt moving around that site. There's a significant amount of earthwork that will need to be done. And then ultimately the track project portion of that being completed by the November timeframe. Which will, in effect, complete the remainder of the project, the entire project. Inside the building, I know some of you got a chance to tour today and look around a bit. Obviously, there's still some work happening around there. We have been communicating a lot with Skoll and trying to ensure that student safety, building security is top of mind, and that those things are really being paid attention to in terms of the details of how they're moving staff in and out of that building. And it's creating some additional challenges for them, but of course, they're team players and are making sure that they're moving people in and out of the building the way that they need to avoid any issues around security and safety. As you probably saw, really the two main areas of the building that are lagging behind are the locker area on the south side of the building and then the fitness area. And so right now we have completion dates for those. I'm 98% sure this is accurate. Jade left, but of September 11th. So lagging about a month behind where they thought they were going to be. And again, I think if that's the absolute worst thing we have to worry about at the end of a project like this, we're doing pretty well. Just wanted to give you a couple updates around the busing situation. We've had a lot of conversation about that over the past couple weeks or month. Got the video out. That got really good interaction with the community. I think at this point there's about 300 views on that video, which is significantly higher than other videos we put out, which I think is a good indicator of what a concern that is for the community. Had really good feedback. Obviously, you know, people aren't jumping up and down for joy, but I've had a lot of good feedback from the community around appreciating the information, appreciating going a little more in depth with that conversation. So that's been great. As you heard in that video, one of the things that we've often heard from the community is that if we could do some type of scheduling, that would be great. And I've told you all several times, I think the difficulty isn't in producing a schedule. The difficulty is in being able to hold to a schedule as personnel changes continue to happen throughout the year. And early on, we did produce a schedule and it caused a massive amount of confusion. And so we ended up pulling that back. And we understand that's difficult for the community. And so we're working now on a schedule. We have some thoughts on how to manage that and how to attempt to keep it less confusing than it had been in the past. And hopefully that's something that the community will help the community in dealing with those busing outages. So look for that to be out hopefully in the next few days, first part of next week. We had a really great conversation with the consulting firm that we are hoping to engage for the function study. In-depth conversation about our busing function, about a lot of the logistical details of our district. I feel really great about that. I feel really good about the company and the personnel that are going to be involved in that. So hope to bring that forward to the board at their next meeting for approval for the contract. And then just a couple notes on the current status, as you heard in the video. Initially, we were projecting being down 6 to 8 routes to open up the year. We were able to get a driver through testing early and get another driver on the road, which helped tremendously. And then again, the student transportation staff is continually making adjustments as registrations roll in. And we're able to combine another couple of routes as those numbers rolled in. So we ended up opening the year with 4 cancellations. I don't know if there's enough wood to possibly knock on, but we do have several drivers that we've hired that are in the pipeline at various stages of training and testing. And we are hoping, without a significant amount of turnover between now and in the midpoint of the year, that we may be able to get to a point where we have no cancellations. So we're feeling better, in a better spot. However, we still need to focus on finding long-term solutions to the problem. So those are my updates, President Carr, and happy to answer any questions if the board has any.
All right, any questions for Mr. Sassy? All right, did a good job. I don't see any hands. We have no conflict of interest. I will entertain a motion to approve the approval of policy, procedures, and exhibits. And that would be, we're on the first reading of student custody.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the first reading of the student custody. Any discussion? Stephenson.
Is this, I don't have any issue with this policy, having read it, but has our policy committee met yet for this year?
Yes,
So this
yep, we
went
met,
through-
whatever.
This one went through our policy committee.
Mhm.
Okay, I just was curious.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. All right. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay, thank you very much. Any board member would like to pull any of the proposed agreements? Okay, seeing no hands, I will entertain a motion to approve the proposed agreements.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the proposed agreements. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor of accepting the proposed agreement signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Okay. Any board member would like to pull an item from the proposed consent agenda? Okay, seeing none. This is incredible. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposed agenda. All in favor, we don't discuss that.
We don't discuss consent? Oh,
No, ma'am.
Well, I had nothing important.
Okay,
Can say it another.
all right, yeah. All in favor of approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, motion carries. Items for board information. We're gonna have the 23-28 strategic plan presentation by the DDL team.
All right, I've never had to share my screen, so I'm gonna see if I can get this to work properly. All right, there we go. So continuing our work on our strategic plan and our pillars. So most of you are familiar with that. I know Katie and Donna, some of this information should be new and or maybe you've acquainted yourself somewhat, I'm not sure. But the first 10 slides, I'm going to move somewhat quickly through. I don't think there's a lot of depth to them, but they are kind of the foundation of where we get to. And then I do want you to understand the scorecard update is kind of that first step in setting our baseline for the year. And you'll hear our DDL members share that information. And then we'll establish our short cycles of improvement and really looking at our metrics throughout the year. And you'll see that in here as well. So this is a continual document that we will look at. So we're just kind of setting the stage with this right now. So first of all, again, district scorecard, and then looking at a recommended cadence of updates. And I'll lay that out better in a slide upcoming here. So our 5 pillars revolving around students, staff, community, facilities, and communication. And you can see the goal statements that go with each. Again, we'll drill down when we get into our specific metrics in a few slides. One of the things that we often refer to are the arrows of an operational strategic plan. And many organizations are very random and they try to approach improvement this way. Oh, and then that looks good, so we go that way. And we've been very intentional about how do we bring all those things in a more strategic approach. So that's hopefully we're working towards that middle one where we're really bringing our acts of improvement into a better alignment. And then in the end, we want to be working in that the real arrow with nothing outside of it. So I feel like we're moving that way, but this will show you how we're trying to get there. And again, another really good example is a lot of organizations tend to row their boat the wrong way or against the current, however you want to look at it. But I don't want to steal any row the boat from PJ Fleck at the University of Minnesota with his philosophy there, but we want to be going in the same direction, and that's what we're trying to accomplish. So when we look at the strategic plan and we talk about that cadence, so we as DDL members will be working from the viewpoint, obviously as the district and a view that spans the whole district. So our purpose in carrying out the strategic plan is to create that scorecard and show you the metrics and the baseline and the goals that we're trying to do. And then we want to work this year, and this is some of the things that I'll be doing with principals, is how do we then move that work into the buildings and kind of lay it out there and help them understand the pillar work and bring that into their buildings. And then the last two pieces are teacher team goals and classroom goals. And I often look at this as really embodied in our school improvement plan. So every building, whether it's a title building or a non-title building, has a school improvement plan. And I think that is kind of that real, I don't want to say it's the bottom, it's where the work gets done. And it shows, so our goal is to show from our work up here all the way to carrying out that school improvement plan, and it embodies every piece of this this graphic. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the individual student goals. That's part of that school improvement plan too. So why do we use our scorecards? We have an improvement. It's an improvement tool aligned to our strategic plan pillars. So again, trying to maintain our focus. And then that focus should be on the measures that matter. And you'll find that the measures that matter are really, really challenging because as educators, we think everything matters. And that's the whole part of the challenge of the alignment and the arrows going all over the place. Is we think this, we think that, we go here, we go there. And really, how do you drill it down into things that are meaningful and that we can track and show over time? The third bullet we want to celebrate celebrate what's working, because when we celebrate, we know that helps us spread and scale. And we really established that, I would say, in the last year, that celebration piece. And then we have to understand that this isn't the end all be all. We have to be able to make adjustments, and we have to look at what are the metrics telling us, and then what does that mean for the work that we do in our short cycles, and then in our 5-year goal planning. So we have to be able to adjust. Just a nice little quote. Again, because you can measure everything, doesn't mean that you should. Very hard for educators. So what you're gonna see in our pillars, it's gonna look like this. We have the goal statement from the strategic plan. We have our metrics. That's how we're gonna measure things. Our baseline is where we're at, and that's gonna be based off the 23-24 school year. We're gonna have our annual goal. That's what we're gonna work on this year. In this one, it shows our 5-year goal. I'm gonna tell you that that's not something that we put together at this point. That is something that we will put together this year. And I think we wanted to establish our short cycles, those 30, 45 day, metrics of how are we moving before we really established our 5-year goal. So we do this with the end in mind. So we are thinking out, but we haven't specified it in each of our pillars yet. This graphic, again, kind of embodies our district scorecard, and then moving down into that second level to the school, and schools will be looking at their scorecards, and then those bottom to the classroom grade level, individual students. Again, to me, that's really rooted in our school improvement plans. So just a little different way to look at it here. All right, so I'm gonna ask our pillar champions to kind of come up and briefly go through, explain. Hopefully you could see this well enough. And for our student pillar, we've got Director Strong, Director Roberts, and Director Comer. And I'm just gonna kind of let them explain a few things. Or do you want me to start? Okay.
All right.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much. See, Director Comer always has to take care of me because I would lose it. Good evening. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen of the board. We are going to present to you our pillars for the student pillar. Our team works very diligently on assessing and evaluating the data that we use to determine growth, not only academically, but also in the culture and the climate, because as you can see, our student pillar, the words in the student pillar encompass more than just academics. They encompass individual, safe environment, educated, prepared, welcomed. So we really embraced all of these words and all of these components in our student pillar. As you can see, our measure for success is our student survey, of course. We delivered this student survey and rolled this out at the end of last spring, really focusing on, within the student pillar, question 16 and question 17. I like going to my school each day. Only 37% of our students answered yes on this. I feel like I belong at school. Only 47% of our students answered yes on this. So what we would like to do is increase that over the course of the next 5 years by 16% and 17%, knowing that if you look if you look at nationwide, that fluctuates, of course, inner city, rural, urban, and also fluctuates with what's occurring in the world at that time. So we are going to increase that by those two questions. We're going to use those two questions as our measurement for the welcome and for the safe. We're also going to look at our attendance rate. We're going to increase our attendance rate to 83%, which is 2%. We'd like to increase that by 2% over the course of the next 5 years. Our major behavioral referrals, this year, we would like to decrease from 11,311 to 11,085. As a side note, our major behavioral referrals from 2022, 2023 were 11,675. So we've already decreased them. And so we're going to work on decreasing that year over year over year. We're also going to look this first year and the next year to see if that number that we'd like to decrease by is realistic, not realistic. As a side note, we also noticed a huge spike in major behavior referrals in the last 3 months of the school year, which, coming from an educator, having been a classroom teacher and a principal, is quite common to see that spike the last 3 months of the school year. Students are getting anxious, the weather is turning, it's getting warmer, they want to be outside, kids are a little bit more agitated, teachers are a little bit more agitated. We all really are looking towards the end. So it's quite common to see that spike in behavior referrals towards the end. So we're going to be looking at maybe some different interventions and strategies also for the classroom for our spring semester to see if we can, and spring quarter to see if we can help our students and our teachers. Then finally, our academic growth, which addresses our graduation. We're going to look at Acadians for our K1 math and ELA, and then our NWA MAP scores 2 through 8, again for for math and ELA, and then a pre-ACT and ACT for 9 through 12, knowing that our state, that the South Dakota Department of Education will be moving away from SBAC to determine our efficiency and effectiveness on math and ELA on our district scorecard. They're going to be moving to ACT. Also knowing and coming to the understanding that students really take the ACT assessment much more seriously than they do the SBAC. The ACT really matters to them, to what they're going to be doing post-secondary. It's not only used in post-secondary institutions, but the military uses the ASVAB, and they also take into consideration the ACT when they're looking at placement that requires such things as intelligence in those capacities. So this really is a real world assessment that's going to be used post-secondary, and the South Dakota Department of Education has embraced that and is going to be assisting the districts with that. So that is our student pillar in a nutshell. Ladies, do you have anything to add?
Just that on the top, when we're looking at student survey, we're actually the 16 and 17, it's about question 16 and question 16 and question 17.
Yes.
To make the improvement by the percentages that you see there. So we don't have our 5-year measurement there, but we are looking at what we can do this next year. So that part might have been a little confusing.
Apologies.
So you're saying 42% and 52% is the goal for this year, not
Correct.
year? Okay.
Correct.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you, Jen.
Yeah, I apologize. I should have had in that last column 24, 25.
Okay.
I didn't get that in there. So the student survey, we started last year and we intend to do that year over year. I know last year we administered this, I believe, in March.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have not set a time frame for doing this survey, the staff survey, which you'll see some results in one of our later pillars. And we're intending to do those earlier, tentatively looking at January and February to do all our surveys. So that's what we're looking at there. The attendance rate follows the state attendance rate and how they track it. So, and report it out. So we're following that. Again, the major behavior referrals, as Director Strong mentioned, we went with 2% because that is where we went from 2022-23 to 23-24. We saw that decrease. So we're seeing if that is realistic. And then she went through the learning growth pieces. So other questions that you might have regarding the student pillar?
Ms. Stephenson.
Thank you, Dr. Strasser. I appreciate that elaboration as well. And just wanted to verify that these are the student survey numbers. The response on that was highly varied by school. Am I right?
That is correct. And
Okay.
obviously one of our goals is to get much more consistent as we deliver our surveys across the board, whether it's the student survey or the staff survey and so forth.
And
Yes.
so our staff will be getting the message that this is a really important, that we need this information. This data is kind of key.
Yes.
Okay. I appreciate that. And then this is a big question and we don't need it. I don't need an answer now, but that attendance rate, getting it up 2% in a year seems like a big goal. And I'd love to hear strategies if there are schools that have found strategies that work and those are being shared, what the plan is for that this year.
Great question. Thank you, Vice President Stephenson. What we know prior to COVID is that we had a 90% student attendance rate prior to COVID, and that plummeted after COVID. And so it really is making our way back to pre-COVID numbers. So it's possible in the Rapid City Area School District. It's very, very possible. We just have to work our way back to there. Part of working our way back to there is the culture and the climate. We know that at the base of any strong learning environment is a sense of safety and belonging. If students do not feel like they are safe and they belong, that learning becomes much more difficult, which is why we're really trying to focus on that first pillar or that first line, because we want them to feel like they're safe. We want them to feel like they belong. So it's a lot of culture and climate. It's a lot of how we are addressing this. What are we doing? We also know that next year we have our COVID baby bubble coming up. So that's also going to be a huge issue that we're going to address. Statistically nationwide, the largest age growth that is being placed into alternative education is our 4 and 5-year-olds. So we're really going to have to address that coming into this next year, not only with our existing students, but really trying to get ahead of that curve for coming into next year to avoid that alternative placement for our COVID baby bubble. And so we're really focusing this year and district-wide, how does that look? It looks different in every school. How does that look? What does that mean? What are our conversations? Who needs to be at the table for the conversations? So there's a lot of micro conversations occurring in our macro conversation that we're having right now as a district. There's a lot of micro conversations occurring as well. And they've been occurring since November of last year, knowing that this needs to be addressed, but what do we do about that? So great question. We're trying to be ahead of that curve a little bit as well.
Thank you. Can I just ask a quick follow-up? Can you say the 4 and 5-year-old statistic, the referral?
The largest number of age group that's being referred for alternative education is our 4 to 5-year-olds.
In this district,
Nationwide.
nationwide?
Nationwide.
And just in the last 2 years and?
In the last 4 years.
4 years, okay.
In the last 4 years. And they're consistently the largest group. It used to be the 5th grade or 9th graders, and then it was the 5th graders, and now it's the 4 to 5-year-olds.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So another argument for early childhood education for those of us who are out there arguing for that or fighting for it.
Absolutely.
And also an argument for the junior kindergarten.
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
appreciate that work. Thanks.
Mrs. Urban.
Just so I'm clear, the alternative education is like special education. Is that, or what does that mean?
It could be any alternative education setting. It could be a private school. It could be a special ed. It could be homeschool, but it's any place that's not public education. So alternative education refers to anything that is not the general public classroom.
Okay.
Great question.
So I feel like I had heard that the state stats showed that our attendance rates were up quite a bit this year.
They have come up, but remember, part of this is the 90% of the 90%. So these numbers reflect our goal. They don't reflect what in actuality what's being reported yet. So when those numbers are able to be made public,
Got it.
then we'll bring those numbers before the board. Does that clarify, Ms.
Yeah.
Urban? Okay.
And then the SBAC is still gonna be used at the elementary middle level, just not at the high school level.
Yes, it's not called the SBAC anymore. It's the South Dakota Achievement Test. And the only place that it will not be used anymore is 11th grade. So this year, 24-25, the South Dakota Achievement Test will be given to 11th grade for the last time. Next year, it will be the ACT that will be used as a measurement for us, for everyone in South Dakota. So.
Thank you.
I have a question on how the numbers and statistics from the OCR, is that going to be incorporated into the strategic plan, or is that a separate entity in and of itself?
We are trying to keep that separate because knowing that when we as a collective team developed and designed the student pillars, that we had the goal and the vision for moving forward was to address these needs that were set forth by all of us. So we're really trying to keep those separate, knowing that they're going to work together and they're going to support one another, but we're trying to keep them separate so that we can maintain the purity of the intent of our strategic pillars. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Dr. Strasser?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, any Any other questions?
All right,
All right,
so,
thank you.
I would just say to address that, like, the work that we're doing with the OCR to improve attendance and to look at that, we would expect to see it impact things here.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
They work hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yes.
and when we go through these pillars, a lot of tonight is to get questions percolating in your minds as you see where we're going, where we want to go. And then we'll follow up, at a future meeting,
Sure.
showing you more our metrics, and how we drill down for those short cycles. So you'll get to see that part of it and then, be able to kind of follow up with maybe some deeper questions. So, again, a lot of this is surface level. It's establishing our goals, but you've got some good thoughts going already. And I also want to make sure you understand a lot of the student pillar work was done last year by Director Strong and I, because Director Roberts and Director Comer weren't a part of our team yet. So as they come on, they're learning a lot, and really starting to contribute. So, that's our student pillar, and obviously it's a big one because students are kind of the big thing. So, all right, let's move to the next one, looking at our staff pillar, and I'm going to turn it over to Director Manuel.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. I just want to talk about the RCAS staff pillar. As the statement, RCAS will attract, recruit, and retain a diverse, high-quality staff who are respected and empowered to educate our students. If you look at the slide here, it's basically three different areas: the recruitment and retention area, the high quality and diverse, and respected, empowered. For our measure of success under recruitment and retention, we are looking at two things. One, the number of applicants that we receive, and also then our retention rate. The numbers that we're using as our baseline were from the 23-24 school year. You can see that we had 5,434 applicants during that school year, and our retention rate during that school year was 81%. The goals looking forward to 24-25 in those areas, looking at about a 2%, a little over 2% increase in the number of applicants. We're looking potentially in the future to perhaps focus on non-traditional candidates and hit on areas where we can advertise to try to attract individuals who may be looking for a career change. Somebody who maybe perhaps is in the corporate world that has always maybe wanted to teach and just never pursued that goal or that dream. And so we are going to try to focus on those non-traditionals to help increase the number of applicants that we will see hopefully in the upcoming year. As far as retention rate, we set it at a minimum of 81, which was last year. We certainly don't want to go backwards, obviously, but we want to move forward and try to raise that. But we do not want to go any lower than where we were for 23-24, and that's where our goal is. For high quality and diverse workforce, we look at one area, which in particular are the teachers and their number of endorsements. As you can see, for the 23-24 school year, about 48% of our staff had anywhere between 1 to 9 endorsements. We had 49% that were between 10 and 14, which is essentially the lion's share of the staff of teachers. But then we also had about 0.06% with 15 to 19 endorsements. 20 to 24 endorsements came in at a 0.01%. And then we had one individual, less than 1%, obviously, with 25 endorsements. As we have added new teachers to staff, we will update those numbers with the endorsements that those new teachers have come with. The number of endorsements that teachers possess do allow for opportunities for them to perhaps teach in different areas or different classes. And we certainly want to encourage our teachers to continue to enrich themselves by achieving more endorsements. And again, the goal for 24-25 is to at least at minimum hold at that, but hopefully with our newly hired teachers coming into the district for this school year, that hopefully some of those individuals will bring in a higher number of endorsements as well. Finally, in a survey that was done relative to staff being respected and empowered, our baseline number was 3.73. Again, for 24-25, we certainly do not want to go below that, but we do want to raise that any way that we possibly can. And I think, again, one of the areas that we had talked about was being more inclusive with teaching staff, for example, with professional development days and allowing them to do those trainings rather than perhaps somebody, a third party come in and do those. And so really rely on them to share their expertise with their colleagues and staff as well. So that is my presentation in a nutshell. Certainly we'll take any questions anybody has.
I do. Oh, I do. When we developed the platform, there was, these pillars, there was a big discussion on diverse and what that meant. Can you share with me a little bit how the conversation was on what diverse mean? And I'll ask both questions. And since it's on the same line and today's the first day of school, can you educate me on what endorsements are?
Sure. Okay. So first, to answer your first question relative to diverse, typically when people hear a diverse workforce, they think of demographics, they think of race, they think of gender, et cetera. We wanted to expand that definition essentially to include individuals who have a wide and broad experience in being a teacher, for example. We don't want to get pigeonholed into using that phrase diverse as just the demographics. We want to expand that into what teachers have taught, other staff and experiences they have, other certificates that staff may have, et cetera. So as far as endorsements, those are items that teachers have tested on, whether it be through a praxis test or what have you, to show that they're proficient in being able to teach in those particular areas. I'd be more than happy to share. I wish I could just spout out all of the various endorsements. There's quite a few. And so when you look at these numbers, even if it's 1 to 9 endorsements, you may think, well, that's not that many, but it really could be a very diverse aspect of somebody's teaching ability when they own those endorsements. And so when I look at those individuals, the 15 to 19, the 20 and up, that is quite an accomplishment for staff to have that many endorsements.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Stephenson.
So I had a question about endorsements too, so I appreciate that explanation. However, the goal of minimum of the same, I mean, if the hope is that someone who has 9 endorsements gets 10, then the number of 1 to 9 endorsements is gonna go down and the other one's gonna go up. Like, is that goal gonna get more specific? They won't all stay the same. If a more desirable one goes up, then the other one's gonna go down.
Well, potentially, but then you also have to consider new staff coming in as well. You may have new staff that come in that have 15 to 19 endorsements. That's going to increase that as well. That will impact the new people coming in, will impact those numbers. Those numbers would stay static if nobody chose to pursue any further endorsements. But you're right, they're gonna, if they move from 1 to 9 up to 10, those numbers are going to change a little bit, but we're trying to encourage teachers or anybody that has any sort of endorsement to increase and improve themselves in obtaining those. Mm-hmm. Did that answer your question?
Kind of. I mean, I kind of think maybe a better goal would be that the 10 or above is above 50% or 52% of the staff or something like that, you know?
Sure.
Minimum of the same. I mean, it just
right.
Staying the same at 48% doesn't. Does that?
Can I throw in as well, when you think about, if you're talking about our certified staff, and we have roughly 800-ish certified staff, and I think we onboarded 100.
I was going to say, yeah, close, yeah.
New staff this year. So typically new staff coming in aren't going to have the level of endorsements that teachers who've been in our system over time would have. So that's I guess in my opinion, a distinct challenge to move the metrics on this, but I do think this is something we can look at in terms of, from a goal standpoint, becoming more specific, like you're saying. And that's something that I think we can take a look at.
Sure.
Thank you. The other thing, I was pointing this out, just giving you an excuse a year from now. If our retention goes up, then our recruitment might go down just because we don't have as many open positions. So that would be a good thing.
Fair point.
Okay, Mr. Brooklyn.
Thank you. I just wanted to talk about the high quality and diverse. I know we can't measure everything. And I think I brought this up the last time with the scorecard, but I do hope that in expanding our definition that we are still looking at things, the demographic parts, because representation does matter in our classrooms, in our schools and stuff. So, I just want to say, I hope we are also looking at those things. Like I said, I know everything doesn't come.
And I didn't mean to say that we weren't paying attention to that part of it as well, but
Right, perfect. I just want to
I
clarify.
appreciate
Thank
the
you.
comment. Thank you. Yes.
All right, I don't see any other questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, on our communication slide, I have Manager Schaefbauer and Director Daniel to share some information with us.
Good evening, board. How's everyone tonight? You're doing okay. The purpose of tonight is for us to talk a little bit about, we're gonna talk about the baseline for communication and the goals for 24-25. Ours is a little bit, that's pretty simple. The focus is really on clear and consistent communication across the district. We had 3 different surveys that we pulled data from. On the first survey, the district service survey, there were 2 pieces that we really wanted to focus on. The first one is accessibility, and the baseline was a 4.3, which our consultant says is really good compared to like the national level. So the goal is to stay, just to maintain at that level, not go backwards. Accuracy, we are at a 4.28 right now. Next year, the goal is to get to 4.33. And I should have backed up. I don't know, some of you don't know, the survey was a 1 to 5 result. So because that's some of you weren't here last year. So it's just, 1 being most and 5 being the best. So employee experience survey. I believe organizational level info is communicated in a timely manner. That was a 3.39, and our goal is to raise that up to 3.5. Employee experience survey for a clear understanding of mission and goals. We have a 3.87. We want to go to 3.97. And then the final one is the parent caregiver survey, which I feel that's probably the hardest one to really dig into. But I believe the district communications office is clearly communicated in a timely manner. So the goal is to go from a 3.6 to a 3.8. And Bobby's going to share some of her wisdom. So.
I think it's important to note on that parent caregiver survey as well. There is no national data to compare to. That is a question that was made specifically for Rapid City area schools with the help of some different groups. That is something we wanted to look at specifically. So that is our own data that we are going to collect. And then also I just wanted to touch on where we pulled these numbers from. We struggled a lot. Shane and I had many meetings trying to figure out how do we improve? What's a good number? We don't want to shoot too high and fail. We want to land somewhere that's reasonable and have reasonable goals. So all of the increases were actually recommended by Huron-Studer for their national average. There was a PowerPoint slide that I can send to you guys after this meeting where it lays out why you want to maintain and all of that stuff as well. But I just wanted to clarify where we pulled those increases from. Any questions on the communication pillar?
Mrs. Carpam.
So this isn't actually like a statistical question, but is it part of the plan for this? I know at one point there was discussion about an app and we haven't heard about it in a while. Is that still in the works or where are we there? Go ahead.
Yeah, so the app is going to be coming with the website revamp. Shane and I will have some communication out to the board and hopefully the community on Friday on where we fall with that. We do have a meeting with Juicebox, which is our website host, and they are the ones creating that app for us. So we'll have some communication out soon.
Just one point about it. They're training us on how to create the website with the new tools out there on Thursday. So we'll actually start to get in there and build some things. So.
Ms. Stephenson.
So communication is something that the board has identified too as something that we would like to continually focus on. At some point, I think it might be an interesting study session to hear some strategies for how the district is going to achieve these goals, how the board can work into that plan. I mean, obviously, we have our committee that we're working with you on, but I'd love to hear some strategies to hear what's changing, what's going to be different this year. And then also, you know, we've had some side conversations about different software services or different services that we can use. And I'd encourage you to, if we have to seek those out, that we should hear about them and make sure that we're using the best services available to us.
Absolutely. And most of that will come through those action steps, which we'll cover in a later meeting.
Okay, Dr. Strasser.
That's what I was going to reiterate is our plan is to have all those little metrics, the action pieces to go along with what you're seeing tonight. That's the work that we're going to do from now until that 30-day cycle. So yes.
Are you telling me to stop asking about action?
No,
I'll
but
stop.
know that it's coming.
I appreciate that.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
We're going to leave Manager Schaefer up here. If I can get this to go. There we go. Oh.
Ooh, not talking about facilities, that would be coy. So I'm also a pillar champion for the community pillar. We have actually decided, I sat down with Dr. Strasser to kind of revamp our pillar champs for this. So we previously had the superintendent sit in on this pillar, and then also in-house attorney Kelsey Parker. We've decided to switch that up a little. So it's going to be myself and Bobby Joe Donovan, our CCR manager. So it's Bobby squared for your pillar champions. And so for all of these, I'm going to touch on the first 4, and then Bobby Joe is going to handle the last one because she is more in tune with the volunteer process. So for the measure of success for engagement in district level communication platforms, I dove way into the data for our platforms, which is Facebook, Instagram, and all of that. It's very interesting when I started looking at it. I was able to talk to Dr. Strasser about it as well. I thought we would just be continuing to go up, up, up with followers. But throughout the year, we actually see a decline because as I post more and as people continue to get engaged with the district, we also have those families that have students that graduate that unfollow the district. So it kind of stays steady. So I decided to go with a 2% increase as a goal because obviously I want to have more followers, but I want to keep it at a reasonable level as a goal. And then School Messenger as well. That is something that at a later meeting, I hope to dive into a little more. The goal is when looking at it, so that first where that data came from, we had 19,980 emails sent, and the open rate on those 19,000 emails was 34%. I would like to get an additional 400 people to open my emails that I send at the district level, and that may fluctuate with how many students we have enrolled as well and how many emails we're sending that to. The family caregiver survey, I am proud to say I have a child at this school. That was an increase of 0.1. That again followed that recommendation from Huron-Studer. The employee experience survey, I would recommend that parents select my organization to serve their child. That was a 0.15 increase, again following the recommendation of Huron-Studer. And then board member participation in school and community events. So we do not have a goal set. This would be something that I would ask you guys to go home and think about and what increases you guys would like to see and what goals you would like to have as a board in participation in those events. We can cover that at a later meeting as well, but just start brainstorming some ideas on what you would want to see as a board for your participation.
And then this is Bobby Jo Donovan, the College and Career Readiness Manager. So as far as district volunteers, we did an increase of 2% on that. And part of the reason, although I wanted to have it be a larger number, we really want to get a better the program we use, although it is very good for what we use it for, it's really hard to know where our active volunteers really are. And so one of the things that I've been working with our volunteer coordinator, Rebecca Hagan, with is to really identify for sure how many people are actually in our schools and volunteering, and those ones that aren't maybe active during the year we're not pulling them as active volunteers. And so we're implementing a process to identify specifically with our building coordinators, as well as Rebecca, as she approves volunteers, to monitor that increase. So we went up 2% in hopes that we can still continue to bring in additional district volunteers, but to make sure that that number truly is accurate of our representation of volunteers.
And then one thing to add that Shirley reminded me of, so for your guys' participation scorecard line, that all those numbers are pulled from your blue sheets and your yellow sheets, just so you are aware.
All right, any questions? All right, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I think I do want to say as we go through this, hopefully you see the importance and value of the various surveys that we do give and how that's really impacted how we're looking at improving the district. So, all right, our last pillar is our facilities, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Sassy.
Thank you, Dr. Strasser. So I would tell you, board, what our pillar group has continued to wrestle with in this category has been, has been how do we define success and how do we measure that success? And I think the difficulty is that unlike some of the other pillars that have more natural areas to measure, time periods to measure those things, the facility pillar really does not. And so we've continued to wrestle with that idea in terms of how do we make sure that we're measuring the most important aspects of what's happening with our facilities and what does that time period look like. And so just to give you an idea of what we've discussed in terms of metrics around that first portion of the facilities pillar, which was developing safe, modern, and effective learning environments. We first really talked about the idea of what does that even mean? What do we mean when we say safe, modern, and effective learning environments? And so the first portion of that was really diving in and trying to define those areas and define what the criteria was going to be for those areas. And I think, obviously what you see on screen doesn't do justice to the amount of work that has went into that. I believe that we did show the board a bit last time, some of the work that had been done around those criterias and the measurement. And so we feel good about that aspect. Secondly, it's very difficult to understand where we're going and how we're going to get there if we don't understand where we are. And so a big portion of that aspect of the pillar became performing facility assessments on every one of the schools, really understanding what the issues were, understanding the criteria and how we scored those buildings out to determine what our baseline around that area was going to be. And then lastly, how do we ensure that we're making consistent and measurable progress on the overall condition of our facilities? And so that's really where we came forward with the success measure around developing a facility standard, in the baseline of that being what our current average was in those initial building assessments. And so the average at that point was 53. And then obviously, as we move into the future and we start setting goals, the goal will be how do we move from that point into the future, and what is a reasonable amount of movement to expect on a yearly basis. The second portion of the pillar being building and maintaining facilities to meet changing educational needs. Again, you really wrestled with, okay, what does that mean? How do we define those things? And how do we set the district up for success as we move into the future. We talked a lot about a design standard, ensuring continuity of design, ensuring equity, flexibility, and how that can really help to make the process of building and maintaining facilities more efficient, more effective when you have more of a design standard. Not necessarily that every building we build for the rest of the time needs to look exactly alike, but there should be some type of design continuity, which really helps the efficiency and effectiveness of maintaining those facilities. But ultimately, we talked a lot about as we move into the future. I think this is where that depiction around the arrows pointing every different direction really comes into play. We inject a significant amount of money in capital outlay every year into facilities. And so we really need to have consistency, continuity into taking those arrows pointing every direction and trying to funnel them and point them all in the same direction. And so really the measurement here becomes the number of projects and the cost of those projects that are happening in every year in capital outlay, pointing them the same direction in moving them all to address the safe, modern, and effective criteria. And then, of course, maintaining and building those facilities as educational needs change. And so the baseline for that really became what we're currently doing, which in the current year, we have 74 projects scheduled for capital outlay for $6.7 million total. So every year that will move based upon what is happening in capital outlay. And again, really trying to focus that, point all those arrows in the same direction, and ensure that the investment being made out of capital outlay every year is addressing those specific areas. I'll stop there, President Carr, and happy to address any questions.
Any questions? Mr. Berkeley?
It's not really a question, it's more of a comment. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And I was just gonna note, you talked a lot about the scorecards. It was February 13th. I just pulled it up, I think. February 13th, we talked about that in a study session. So for our new members and for anyone in the community that wants to go back and check that out, that's where you did a very good job. You and Jay did a great job of really breaking down why every school is scored the way that it is.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's good information. I think I was coming off illness and very, very, very hoarse. So I apologize if you can't understand anything I said on the video.
Okay, anybody else? Any other board members? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
So that is our presentation. As you can see, we have a lot going on with our pillars and more to come. So really proud of the work where we're at, and thank you for your questions tonight.
All right, thank you very much. All right, farm to school grant acceptance.
President Carr, not many comments on that. We applied for and received a farm to school grant, $50,000 to start establishing additional farm to school efforts. So really just acknowledgement that the district has received that. Great opportunity. You'll do great things for the schools.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Made for Shade.
I think that's mine too. Again, not many comments there. Fortunate enough to receive another Made for Shade grant, which addresses shade areas on all of our playgrounds. I'm going to forget what school. Stevens. Yes, thank you very much. My brain is not working well today. So that is for Stevens High School. I am not sure if they've selected the area in which that cover is going to go. That's right. It is Portland, man. I'm really struggling tonight, failing, sorry. Everyone knows more than me at this point, so yeah. So, again, just acknowledgement, President Carr.
Okay.
Yeah, and obviously that'll go through the facilities department and they'll do all the planning and help execute that project. So we've been fortunate to receive many of those. They're great grants. We appreciate it very much.
Okay. I see no hands. Thank you all for that report and those updates. Moving on to others. Does anybody have others? Mrs. Clapham.
I just want to say, definitely not to dwell. There's been some challenging weeks through this summer. And on the flip side of that, man, what a great first day. There was so much good energy. Today, I will tell you, I went to South Park, West, Blackhawk, and South. And I talked to bus drivers, teachers, students, SROs, administrators, and everybody had such good energy and was so excited. And it just was such a good vibe. If anybody's having a bad day, go to school on the first day of school. You can't go to school on the first day of school and feel bad. It's impossible to do. So just a huge shout out to our staff. Everybody had a smile on their face. Everybody had good energy. It was just absolutely amazing. And there's just great things, I think, and we talk about with communication, there's great thing happening in this district. General Beatles Kitchen's open for the first time in 2 years. So those kids are now getting meals that don't have to be driven across town. South now has a kitchen that those kids get fresh meals that aren't having to be delivered across town. That, we had, if you look at our agenda today, we had way more new employees than we did resignations or terminations. That tells us things are going right. Things are going well. And it just really re-energizes me. This is why we do the work we do. This is why we sit in these chairs, is to see those things come to fruition. It was just, they said, such great energy and really just a great start to the year. And I'm super grateful for that.
Great, thank you. Mrs. Stephenson.
Thank you. Yes, this is a great day to be a school board member, the first day of school, because we get kind of a little privileged seat into the good work and the excitement and the energy. It was very fun. I wanted to take a minute to acknowledge the hard decision that we made and to acknowledge our staff. Yesterday at the district opener, I held the door open for people, along with Tammy, who always does that job. But it's a job that I really like too, and I've done it every year I've been on the board. And I was nervous, and a lot of people are upset, and I was expecting people to express that. And I have such an enormous amount of gratitude and respect for the staff in this district, because even if they did not agree with our decision, it was really a lovely job. It was a heartwarming job. If people didn't want to interact with me, they might have gone through another door. But the people who did interact with me, it was wonderful. It showed me that this district is strong, that the people that work for this district are good and kind and demonstrating responsible and respectful behavior to their students and to each other. And it was very heartwarming. So I wanted to give my thanks to all of you.
All right, thank you. Any other? Okay, I have 2 items. I just would like to state that all committees should be meeting, or at least have a time to meet. And so as we go into the school years, our committee activity begins to go into full swing. And just a note, Shirley, if you can now add back committees to the agenda, we will have those reports. And that's really how committees are supposed to work, that obviously the 3 board members will go into committee and do the work in committee. And I think one of the things, well, it's been better this past year, so I'm not saying that it's bad, but I just want to explain that then that committee is the connection for the whole board. And so the only way for the whole board to know what's in each of the committees is then to get a report back from those committee persons. So even as well as we've done in the past, let's do a better job when we talk about communication, making sure that we get report backs from all of our committees. Okay, with that being said, I again have had a difficult week with my voting decision last week. So I thought it would be great to just make an official statement that I can direct people to about how I feel. And Bobby's going to give me a timestamp, so I'll be able to tell you exactly in the meeting when this statement started. My following statement does not represent the views and opinions of this board as a whole or its members. I want to start by thanking the citizens of Area 2 for entrusting me with the responsibility of representing you. I carry this responsibility with great care and commitment. In recent days, I have received numerous communications regarding the decision I made on August 13th, 2024. Rather than respond individually, I want to address some of the main concerns here in hope of providing clarity. I've categorized the feedbacks I received in 3 groups: the good, the bad, and the ugly. An example of the ugly, I just got an email of a person wanting my resignation, and I got a text from a person who had been a friend who thought that now I'm despicable. So those are the things that I've received. I made my decision on August 13th based on facts presented to me, guided by my sincere desire to do what is best for Rapid City Area Schools and its students. However, those facts are confidential, and by law, they must remain that way. I know this can be frustrating, especially when rumors, misinformation, and conspiracy theories circulate about how I arrived at my decision. It is unfortunate that these misunderstandings have taken root, but I assure you my intentions have always been to protect and serve our students' best interests. I respect the rights of those who disagree with my decision, and I want to be clear that I never intend to cause harm. When I joined the board, I believe in the importance of having open and honest conversation with our community, even when we don't see eye to eye. I've preached, pun intended, that disagreement isn't inherently bad. It's how we treat one another during those disagreements that really matter. And I really don't understand that if I agree with you, then I'm a good person. And if I disagree with you, I'm a bad person. I just don't understand why we can't just agree to disagree, and even strongly, but to characterize me as a bad person because I disagreed with you, when if I agreed with you, then I would be a good person in your eyes. I just don't understand that. My hope is to find common ground, and where we can't, to agree to disagree. I owe no allegiance to any group, political party, or community organization. And when we talk about conspiracy theories, I'll just say it again. I owe no allegiance to any group, political party, or community organization. My allegiance lies with the students of Rapid City Area School. I take pride in being an independent thinker and decision maker, relying on prayer and reflection to guide me. Now I want to shift my focus back to the work that the people of Area 2 elected me to do, making Rapid City Area Schools the best it can be, not just in South Dakota, but across the nation. This goal is within our reach, but it will require all of us pulling in the same direction, as Dr. Strasser said, to make that happen. We are better together. Thank you. All right, any others? Right, at this time, I will entertain a motion to go into executive session SDCL 1-25-2.1 and 2.3.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to go into executive session. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, thank you, everyone. We're going to take a 3-minute